All right, here's a little leak that happened. Armored Evolution. Right, so this is news that comes from Dexerto.com. There was a leak that they were reporting on about Armored Evolutions coming to Pokemon Sword and Shield. So, Pokemon Sword and Shield rumor began. A leak that correctly predicted the name of the new Pokemon game in the region has also stated a concept called Armored Evolutions will be included. So in a now deleted 4chan post, the title of the new Pokemon games was correctly predicted on February 21st. This post also said the region would be Great Britain. Based on early indications of the Galar region, this also appears to be true. Side note, if any of you guys know the Larulian historian, follow his Instagram, you'll see he actually draws some comparisons on that note as well. It also states some other features from Pokemon Sword and Shield which have yet to be proven true or false. Legendary Pokemon are Metal Snake and Wooden Horse. Probably not those names. There will be Armored Evolutions, including Armored Charizard, Armored Mewtwo, Armored Flygon, kind of weird, and Zeraora. And Meltan will tie into the Armored Evolution and legendary lore of the game. The concept of Armored Evolution isn't elaborated on, but it is believed it will work in a similar way to Mega Evolutions. More specifically, it will be the ability for certain Pokemon to utilize a temporary evolution, probably exclusive to battle. Furthermore, the leaker also confirmed that Pokemon that will have this evolutionary ability, but Charizard, Mewtwo, Flygon, and Zeraora. Yeah, that's kind of the gist of that rumor. There's a bit more goes on about some Johto region starters, but yeah, what do you think about that, Jesse? There's a really funny picture on the article where they put Charizard in armor, but
it kind of makes sense if you take the name literal and the fact that they've been making, like, used to, from Pokemon Gen to Pokemon Gen, there were like minor upgrades and stuff, but then aside from adding in new Pokemon, just gameplay wise, they were like, oh, there's a new type or new moves or whatever. But the last few generations, they added like Mega Evolutions or XY moves, or not XY moves, Z moves or whatever. Right. And then like all of these new things that they were adding in, and then we had the discussion, what do we think the new thing for this Pokemon generation is going to be? And what this is, and again, this is taking the Sword and Shield thing literal, like if it's, if the main items in the game, kind of like how they name Zelda games, like they name it after, typically it's an object of importance to the story, so basically they are getting one rumor, combining it with another rumor, combining it with another rumor, and they're just putting everything together, or at least trying to. And even with the last one, Ultra Sun and Moon, where they introduced the Ultra Beasts, where you would have to go through the Ultra Wormholes, or whatever they were called. So, if this is following that trend that Zelda does, and the last Pokemon game does, then the Sword and Shield, if they take that as armor or something that the Pokemon can actually use in the game, like it's a legendary sword that was used by a certain Pokemon, or a legendary shield that was used by some Pokemon, which most Pokemon can create their own out of energy or whatever their moves set is. But like you would just, I don't know, like Pokemon can already hold items, so what if it's just like something like that, to where like it's an item that you have your Pokemon hold, and suddenly like its attack doubles or its defense doubles or something like that, and then you can actually see, like if it's the shield or whatever, then the Pokemon's wearing an outfit or something, which, and the last Pokemon game, the remakes, they added it in to where like your starter Pokemon that comes along with you literally does wear outfits. That's one of the main game mechanics, is dressing it up in different stuff to make it look like you, or you dressing like it. So if they do that in this game to where it actually affects the battles as well, to where like it has that Charizard that looks like I think it's a Charizard. I forgot what the image looked like, but he's wearing the armor and everything to where it looks
Charizard.
It looks like Metal Greymon, to where like he's wearing the leather slash going around or whatever it is around the neck, and then he has the giant metal claw that looks like a glove and stuff. But the Charizard looks like it's just wearing like old-timey medieval leather armor. So I think that there's a chance it could be real, because again, if they're taking the sword and shield thing literally, as they did with Ultra Sun and Moon, because whenever they had Sun and Moon and then they had Ultra Sun and Moon, I remember a lot of people thought, like, why is it not Sun and Moon 2? Like Black and White and Black and White 2? And why is it, yeah, like they just thought like putting Ultra in front of it was stupid. But that's what Nintendo does. They've always done stuff like that, to where the Nintendo 64 originally was going to be called Ultra 64. Whenever the Game Boy Advanced came out, the Pokemon season on TV, they called it Advanced or Advanced Battle or whatever. That way it would tie into the system that the game was on, the Super Nintendo. They just use those words where it's like super, ultra, great, whatever.
Yeah.
So whenever the what? You
new.
Oh.
that's the latest one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, new is. But that's just the idea that I got. They should have named, maybe that would have been stupid, I don't know. I was thinking like they should have named the new Pokemon remake, because it's like a game for casual beginners or whatever. Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Like, I was thinking, what if they would have called it like New Pokemon? That way, because it acts in the same way that the new Super Mario Bros. Does, to where it's basically the same game as the original, but it's multiplayer or whatever, which the new game is multiplayer. Like, it's the first time you could have two people on the same screen. I don't know, that's off topic, but
New Super Mario Bros. Is not it's not like a faithful remake, like...
No, but like that was the inspiration behind it. Was just like
classic
Miyamoto
Mario.
said he wanted it to, in the old Mario games, he always wanted to have it like multiple characters on the screen at the same time instead of taking turns. But anyways, that's just my idea, like taking it literal, just having armor and sets and stuff that the Pokemon can wear.
Yeah, it would be cool actually, because then, you know, it's a little more heavy RPG mechanic, but like having different gear and stuff to swap out for the Pokemon, but it could be cool.
Yeah, like in Zelda, like you get the Goron armor, and you can like take fire better or heat better, or if you get the Zora armor, you can breathe underwater. So maybe it's the same thing in Pokemon, to where like obviously it's not called the Goron armor or whatever, but like there's a suit that if you have a fire Pokemon, if you put on this water resistant suit, instead of taking double damage from water moves, maybe that gets cut in half. Or maybe there's another one that makes your speed go up or whatever. I don't know. There's just ideas.
Yeah. Good ideas, though. So,
do you have anything to add?
I think,
or any new features that you would love to see?
Funny.
The picture's funny.
Picture's funny. I love it. Yeah. I don't know if I've got any more than that. Like, it would be neat to be able to like customize the outfits and stuff a bit more, like in the Let's Go games, they were strictly cosmetic. So it'd be cool to have outfits that actually have perks to them.
Can you think of any other Nintendo series to where they added in
New Island
armor and stuff to where you like it affects
like
your abilities and
RPG
stuff?
game?
Yeah, like Triforce Heroes we were talking about just a minute ago. Obviously, your weapons are all based on your outfit. Zelda kind of always did it to where like different not armor upgrades, but like the different colored tunics would level you up or have different abilities. And then they went, and they went super into it in Breath of the Wild. So
true.
And then that would be a cool way for them to sell amiibo for this new Pokemon game, because there's already like Charizard and Mewtwo and stuff, but suddenly if you could get like a really cool looking Mewtwo, or even the way Mewtwo looks at the beginning of the first Pokemon movie, to where he's like wearing all of the science experiment gear that with the wires and cables and everything going to him.
Yeah.
Like if they could sell an amiibo like that unlocks that look for Mewtwo in the game. Kind of like they had the Pokeball. If you bought it, you would get Mew. And Let's Go.
But you
Pikachu
get one Mew.
Yeah.
So what if you restart your game, you don't get Mew?
I have a problem in the chat. Stakana says Breath of the Wild still does not have a story. I strongly disagree, sir or madam, that Breath of the Wild has a great story. Mm-hmm. Not only do the memories tell a story, but all of the characters in the game tell a story. The different cutscenes all tell a story. You can find diaries and everything else. Like, there's tons of story in the game. Like, even if you don't talk to a lot of NPCs or find a lot of the diaries or books or whatever, the game itself, through the cutscenes and everything, like, if you sit and just watch all of the cutscenes, not even play the game, which I've done before, there's like 2 to 3 hours worth of pure story.
I have not done that, but
there's tons of story in the game. It's just some people don't pay attention.
You definitely have to. You get what you give out of the story for Breath of the Wild. So which is actually something I like about it, is that if you don't want to pay attention to the story and just you want to go fight Ganon, you can do that. But if you want to go look around, read everything, read all the journals and everything, and you can do that too. Yeah, it's a different approach than previous Zelda games have taken, but it is there. I really enjoy Breath of the Wild story as well, and I don't think it's perfect, but it's great. I still love it, and evidently I'm a fan of the game.
Yeah.
But no, I do. I really enjoy it, and it's but then it's to each their own, I guess. I don't know.
The Japanese version has more story, because the Hyrule Compendium is made up of, like, it's basically Link's journal, as opposed to a computer telling you about stuff.
Yeah, and I think his the like adventure logs, like the quest screen and stuff, they tell it in a more first-person perspective in the Japanese version than in the English version. The English version's like, you talked to this guy and he said to do this. In the Japanese version, it's like, I talked to this guy and he said I should look into this thing. It's a very subtle difference, but I think it has actually pretty big impact on the impression you get of the story, you know?
May I ask you something that I asked you last podcast?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
What kind of end game do you think this game will have? Because they have...
Right, and...
Yeah, like in silver and gold, you could travel back to Kanto.
Yeah.
And with this game, like in this art style, they have Kanto already made, but they also have the Alola region already made.
That's a good point.
So, do you think the end game could be going back to Kanto? Or do you think it could be going back to Alola, since both of them are already made? Or, I think it was, I forgot which game it was, but one of them had like the battle frontier, to where it's like they're not necessarily gyms or gym leaders, but they had like the frontier and the frontier brains, which I forgot what it was, but I was actually reading on it last night. Whenever they made the game, had them in the new generation going to the different places, and the anime at the time, because Fire Red and Leaf Green had just come out, instead of being in the area, like the new generation area, they'd went back to Kanto, and Ash was like running around with Brock and May, I think, and they were trying to find all of these secret frontiers, or whatever they were called, which again was like gym leaders, but they were secret, only for like really advanced trainers to know about, because the gym leaders are there to like teach you how to, like, pretty much the basics or whatever. Battle Frontier was Gen 3, says Stakona. I don't know how to pronounce that, sorry. But yeah, like, I think that would be really cool. They said they didn't bring it back for Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, which was the remake after Leaf Green and Fire Red. Or no, right, after Soul Silver and whatever. But
Heart Gold, is it?
Yeah. They said that they didn't add it to that because it was one of those things where, like, Nintendo basically, in nicer words, says that the players are too stupid to do it, because they said like they thought it would be too hard and challenging, and most players would just give up if they included the Battle Frontier in the new remake. But I hope it's something they add to this game, to where you go through all of the normal gyms, or whatever they have in this game, and then the end game is like a Battle Frontier, or whatever.
Sad.
I don't know.
Nintendo say this about people.
Well, it's like the original Zelda game. They originally had it to where you could create your own dungeons, but then they were like, if we add this in here, or Miyamoto thought if they added that in there, then most players would just think creating a dungeon is too hard and give up on the game, not even making it through the actual story game or the main game. They would just be like, well, it's too hard creating this dungeon, I'm not going to do it. And then around the same time was when they had, like, they were adding to Skyward Sword. If you got lost, you could literally crawl into the Sheikah Stone and it would show you what to do. They did it with Ocarina of Time 3D. New Super Mario Bros. Super Mario 3D World had a thing to where, like, if you die 3 or 4 times in a row, it gives you the golden Tanuki suit, to where
I think it's like 5.
You can just
5 times in a row.
Like, you can just touch something and it'll kill them instead of you. So around the same time, Nintendo was doing everything they could because they thought players were just too dumb to do it themselves.
Whoa, that's a shame. And yet they still released Metroid on the NES. The game is hard, man.
Have you ever beat it?
No, God, no. I hate it too much. But it's the only Metroid game I've genuinely not enjoyed playing. But yeah, I don't know. As far as post game goes, I don't know what they could do. I liked the master trainers and everything, the Let's Go games, but I'm not. I'm not into grinding, and that's the thing is you really needed to grind for that kind of stuff. So, that's kind of where I don't know as much about Pokemon, to be honest, because I haven't played that as many Pokemon games as I have maybe the Zeldas or Marios. But
well, you like know, you
I
bought
enjoyed it.
Both copies of Pokemon Let's Go.
I did. I also have both Sun and Moon, but neither Ultra games.
And you didn't even do the collector's thing to where like you get it cheaper for buying both of them. You bought the first one, and then your wife
back, like
and your son
like
all enjoyed it. Yeah. You enjoyed it so much you went and bought the other one. So both at full price. So playing through that, were there any features that you want included? Do you want to have to catch 50 different Pokemon before you can get a Charmander?
No.
Isn't that how the Let's Go games are? You have to catch 50 individual Pokemon before you can get a Charmander? I read that on like a trivia thing.
Or there's an NPC who will give you one. No, wait, yeah, no, you're right. You do have to do that, but then it's really easy to do that. Like if you just catch Pokemon as you're going through the game.
Yeah.
So there's like a Squirtle, a Bulbasaur, and Squirtle, Bulbasaur, and a Charmander throughout the game that the NPCs will give you, and they all have amazing stats. Yeah, that's the thing. Is like the first one, the Bulbasaur is like, oh, you have to have caught 30 total Pokemon, but by that point you're already in like Cerulean City, and you're like, okay, I've already done that. So
there's two things that I want to ask you, but depending on how much you've done in the game, I don't want to spoil it.
I've beat the game.
Okay.
So
did you catch Mewtwo?
Yeah, I caught Mewtwo.
Did you take Mewtwo to the laboratory that's like all the way in the basement or whatever where he was created?
I have not. But playing through it, okay, so weird moment. So we got one of the Pokeballs. So Spencer, my son, took Mew into his game, the Pokeball, before any of us could. That's fine. We got it for his birthday, so he got Mew in his game. When he was at that part, he had Mew as his walking buddy. He's traveling outside the Pokeball. When you walk into the lab, this might be a spoiler or something, but it's really minor detail. Walk into the lab, Mew will leave you and go to the container that Mewtwo is being held in, and he'll just stand in front of it like staring at it. And if you walk into it, it's like Mew is staring eerily at this container, and it's like, that's a weird detail. Like, what does he know? Oh no! But no, I haven't been to the lab with Mewtwo. I have taken the Elite Four and whooped everyone's butt using Mewtwo, but it's actually happens now.
It's nothing big. He just he gets an exclamation point above his head.
Right.
Like he's aware of the area.
Probably similar than with the Mew thing.
Yeah. And then if you... Did you get did you join Team Rocket?
Join Team Rocket?
Yeah.
No, I don't. You can't.
Like after you beat the game or whatever it is, like in the end game, you go to this one area and Team Rocket's there with, Jesse, James, the Meowth.
Right.
And
they'll give you like the gear and ask you to join, but you can't actually accept it.
That's what I meant. But they give you the gear though.
Yeah, they give you the costume for it.
Yeah. So those are my two questions.
Spoilers.
Is there anything from the game that you liked that you would like for them to bring over?
Nothing. I hated the whole game. No, I'm kidding. No,
I want Team Rocket to come back to it.
I wish.
Because I don't like Team Rocket's been in games, but I don't know if Jesse and James and the Meowth have ever been in the game.
I'm not sure. They were really fun in the game, though. They're like fun recurring characters. And yeah, the post-game in that game is very fun. I enjoy it a lot. Being able to like go through and use like your flying Pokemon to like fly over everything is really cool. I kind of wish
have your Charizard poop on people's heads.
Exactly. The only thing is I kind of wish that those areas were a bit more open, because even though you're flying over the obstacles, you're still stuck in the confines of like a grid area.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess part of me is so spoiled by Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey and Starlink and all these games that are really open games.
Did you notice if the areas in the new Pokemon game are more open? Because with Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, it makes sense for them to be like so narrowed in the paths because it is a remake of the original. So like they couldn't really make the towns that much bigger. But with this, it's a new game. So like I wonder if the areas are expanded to where now instead of this path that you have to go through, to where like you can only take it's only like 2 or 3 steps wide, but you can walk through town with the path. I wonder if it is to where like it's like a giant area that you can just go anywhere in.
Yeah, I mean, it looked kind of like it, but it was hard to tell from the footage they showed off. But I wouldn't be surprised because everybody's been drooling after wanting a more open world Zelda game, or now Pokemon game. My word.
What about voice acting?
Voice acting?
Do you think that could be in the game? I mean, they already have voice acting for the Pokemon, but
yeah. You know what I really don't want is them to recycle I want updated voice clips for the Pokemon instead of recycling the Game Boy voice clips. Like in the Let's Go games,
yeah,
they basically reused, except for Pikachu and Eevee, they basically just reused all the same voice clips from the Game Boy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how can Eevee, who makes a cute Eevee sound, evolve into Vaporeon, who makes this 8-bit gurgling sound? And I'm like, I don't like it. So, especially because in Smash they've got updated voice clips, and in the anime they've got updated voice clips and everything. It's like just these games that are like clinging onto these weird janky sounds.
Yeah, but it would suck if every time you ran into Team Rocket it just played that cutscene over and over. Yeah. It would be just as annoying as the show. But
yep.
Do you have any final things before we move to the next?
That wraps up what I had in mind.
Alright, we can go to the Majora's Mask thing, I guess.
Sweet. Oh, yeah. Majora. Bojangles. Okay. Take us away.
Alright.
Hey everyone, it's me again, Elia Rose. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching this video. And you know what? If you're a fan of videos like this, you should totally subscribe and give this video a like and comment below to let us know what type of videos you would like to see us create in the future. And if you would really like to support all of us here at the GameOverJesse channel, please consider purchasing a GameOverJesse t-shirt or becoming a Patreon at patreon.com/GameOverJesse, where you can receive many rewards, such as getting shoutouts, having any topic or theory that you select discussed on the podcast or made into its own video, having your question answered, joining on as a guest on the podcast, and playing with us during our Twitch live streams at twitch.tv/GameOverJesse, and much, much more.